Have you ever noticed that gentle silence that wraps around you right before you fall asleep? It's not loud, it doesn't demand attention, but it's there, quietly inviting. The sounds of the day start to fade, the light dims as if someone turned down the brightness of the world, and the nonstop chatter in your mind finally begins to slow. It's like life is lowering its volume, and something softer, more peaceful, begins to take over. Sleep doesn't rush in all at once. It's not like flipping a switch. It's more like sliding into a warm pool, gradual, smooth, natural. And in this transition, there's something beautiful and deeply human happening. According to Buddhist teachings, this moment isn't just biological. It's a powerful shift in consciousness. It's your body and mind learning to let go. The Buddha emphasized balance in everything, including rest. He taught that sleeping too much makes the mind heavy, while too little leaves it restless and agitated. True well-being lies in the middle, where the body restores and the mind regains clarity. And modern science agrees. In the early stages of sleep, especially during what's known as NREM sleep, our brain waves slow down, our muscles relax, and the whole system begins to repair itself. What if we treated this moment not as the end of our day, but as a sacred ritual of release? Imagine holding a heavy bag all day, your thoughts, your stress, your to-do lists, and now, right before bed, you consciously set it down, not because you're ignoring life, but because you're choosing to rest wisely. This isn't about forcing yourself to stop thinking. It's about recognizing the weight you've been carrying and letting yourself breathe without it. In Buddhism, even the Buddha himself is described resting peacefully under a tree, showing us that rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's what sharpens the mind and restores the heart. Sleep, when approached mindfully, becomes more than recovery. It becomes a gateway to clarity. So tonight, when that silence comes, don't rush past it. Let it guide you. Have you ever wondered why sometimes you wake up feeling energized and other times completely drained, even when the hours of sleep are the same? The Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, already offered deep insight into this. In the Sigalovada Sutta, he emphasized a timeless truth: balance. Not too much, not too little. That wisdom applies to sleep just as much as it does to every other part of life. When we oversleep, our minds can feel dull, heavy, like we're dragging ourselves through the day in a fog. It's as if our awareness is wrapped in a thick blanket of inertia. On the flip side, when we sleep too little, our bodies protest. We become irritable, stressed, and mentally scattered. It's hard to be present, let alone focused or creative. So what's the answer? It's not about rigid schedules or a one-size-fits-all solution. The heart of the teaching lies in awareness, choosing consciously what truly supports our body and mind. Mind. Ask yourself, what rhythm helps me feel clear and alive? What kind of rest leaves me feeling refreshed rather than drained? Just like tuning a musical instrument, we're learning to tune our lives. Not too tight with effort, not too loose with neglect. This is not just ancient philosophy. It's practical guidance for modern life. In fact, science supports this. Research shows that both sleep deprivation and oversleeping are linked to a host of mental and physical issues. The sweet spot often lies in quality, not just quantity. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, don't see it as a chore. See it as an act of wisdom, a moment where you honor your body's need for repair and your mind's need for clarity. In this simple choice, to sleep mindfully, with care, you're already walking a path of balance, of deeper awareness. Have you ever noticed how as you fall asleep, the world slowly begins to fade? The lights dim, sounds become distant, and your awareness gradually turns inward. It's as if the senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, gently take a step back, allowing something deeper to emerge. This shift isn't just biological. From a Buddhist perspective, it's the beginning of a return to our inner world. Sleep is not merely shutting down, it's a sacred transition, a time when the mind lets go of the noise outside and begins to rest in quiet awareness. This idea is beautifully captured in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, which tells the story of the Buddha's final days. After a long day of teaching, The Buddha rested under a tree, not out of fatigue, but with intention. When he awoke, his mind was clear, sharp, and deeply present. That moment reminds us of something powerful. Rest, when approached mindfully, doesn't take us away from awareness, it deepens it. Think about it. How often do we collapse into bed, exhausted, scrolling our phones or replaying stressful thoughts? Sleep then becomes an escape, a shutdown, rather than a renewal. But what if instead we saw sleep the way the Buddha did, not as a break from awareness, but as a gateway into it? When we consciously allow our senses to withdraw, when we let go of the day with intention, we invite a kind of rest that nurtures not just the body, but the mind and spirit too. Modern science echoes this wisdom. During the early stages of sleep, especially NREM sleep, brain activity slows and the nervous system shifts into a healing mode. It's a time when memory consolidates and the body repairs itself. So tonight, instead of rushing towards sleep, pause. Feel your senses softening. Let the outside world fall away and welcome the quiet within. Because true rest isn't about disconnecting. It's about reconnecting with ourselves. Have you ever wondered why some nights of sleep leave you feeling refreshed and clear, while others leave you foggy and drained? The secret may lie in how deeply you allow your body and mind to rest, and how sleep itself works beneath the surface. Science tells us that sleep isn't just a single, uniform state. It's a dynamic process that flows through different stages. Among the most vital are REM, rapid eye movement, and NREM, non-rapid eye movement, sleep. But today, let's focus on NREM, especially the early stages, because what happens here is more profound than most people realize. During NREM sleep, your brain waves slow down and become more rhythmic. It's like the noise of the day finally softens, and your inner world finds its own quiet beat. This is when your body begins its deep repair process. Cells regenerate, tissues heal, hormones that promote growth and immune strength are released. Your physical body is literally rebuilding itself. And the mind, it doesn't just drift aimlessly. In this quiet, the brain sorts and stores your memories. Experiences from the day are processed and filed away. It's like your inner librarian is working overtime, calmly and efficiently while you sleep. From a Buddhist perspective, this beautifully aligns with the deeper meaning of rest. Sleep is not just physical recovery, it's a time when the mind naturally lets go, when the usual noise of craving, judgment, and anxiety fades. In these moments of deep stillness, our awareness isn't gone, it's just quieter, more subtle. And it's exactly that calm foundation that nourishes the whole being. Think of it like a lake after a storm. When the winds stop, the surface becomes still. And in that stillness, clarity returns. You can see all the way to the bottom. NREM sleep is that calm surface. It's not just good for your body. It's an invitation to reset, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So tonight, as you prepare for bed, remember, sleep isn't something to rush through. It's a sacred part of your daily rhythm. And if you treat it that way, by giving yourself space to unwind, disconnect from stimulation, and let go of the day, your body and mind will thank you. You don't have to do anything special to access this deep restoration. You just have to allow it. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation doesn't come through effort, it comes through surrender. Most people think of sleep as the end of the day, a full stop, a shutdown. But what if we thought of sleep differently? What if, instead of just collapsing into bed, we approach sleep as a conscious act of letting go? Imagine this. You've been carrying a heavy backpack all day, stuffed with worries, deadlines, awkward conversations, and unfinished tasks. When you finally lie down, you don't just flop into bed. Instead, you pause and picture yourself setting that bag down, not tossing it away, just gently placing it aside. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're simply saying, not now, you can rest too. This is what mindful sleep looks like. It's not about forcing the mind to go blank or demanding yourself to feel peaceful. It's about acknowledging the noise and then choosing to release your grip on it one breath at a time. Buddhist teachings encourage us to see this as a practice, like meditation, one that requires patience, consistency, and compassion for ourselves. You might not master it in a night. That's okay. Even the simple act of intending to let go begins to soften the mind and prepare the body for deeper rest. Science backs this up too. Studies show that what we do just before bed affects how deeply we sleep. Holding on to stress activates the nervous system, but when we consciously shift into a calmer state through gentle breathing, gratitude, or visualization, we invite the brain into rest mode. Cortisol levels drop, the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and suddenly the body knows it's safe to rest now. Sleep then isn't just about closing our eyes. It's about opening a space inside where both body and mind can find refuge. And that space is built night after night through small acts of intention. So before you drift off tonight, ask yourself, what am I still holding on to? What can I gently release? The answer may not come all at once, but in that moment of soft surrender, you're already beginning the journey, not just into sleep, but into healing. When you fall asleep at night, your body becomes still. Breathing slows, muscles relax, the outside world gently fades away. But here's a question worth pausing on. Does your mind turn off like a light switch? Or is something else quietly happening beneath the surface? From a Buddhist perspective, the mind doesn't disappear. It simply shifts gears. Buddhism teaches that the mind is not just one thing, but a combination of 5 elements, or what are called the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. In waking life, these elements are constantly active. We feel, we think, we react. But in sleep, especially deep sleep, they soften. They don't vanish, they retreat. The body still breathes, the heart still beats, but the noise quiets. The mind steps into the background. The Buddha often described the mind as something that needs balance, like tuning a musical instrument. There's a story of a monk named Sona who tried so hard in his meditation that he became exhausted. The Buddha reminded him, just like a string on a lute, if pulled too tight, it breaks. If too loose, it won't play. The same goes for our mind. It must be gentle. In that light, sleep becomes more than just rest. It's a return to balance, a place where the mind isn't shut off but gently humming in the background. Think of it like a laptop in sleep mode. The screen may go dark, but the system is still alive. And here's the deeper message. This resting state of mind, quiet, steady, undisturbed, is always within us. It's not just found in sleep. We can touch it in meditation, in a quiet walk, in a mindful breath. By training the mind to let go, even for a moment, we reconnect with this inner stillness. So next time you drift off to sleep, remember, your mind isn't disappearing. It's simply stepping into a softer, wiser mode of being. When we think of the mind, most of us imagine thoughts, emotions, maybe even memories. But in Buddhist teachings, the mind is far more layered, more like a symphony than a single sound. The Buddha taught that what we call the mind is actually made up of 5 parts. These are called the 5 khandhas, or 5 aggregates, and understanding them can completely change how we relate to ourselves. Let's break them down. First, there's rupa, which refers to the physical form, our body, the senses, the material world we interact with. It's the vessel, the structure. Then comes vedana. These are our feelings or sensations. Every moment we're experiencing something, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. These aren't just emotions, they're the raw texture of life, like the warmth of sunlight or the sting of criticism. Next is sanya, which is perception. It's how we label and interpret those sensations. When you hear a sound and recognize it as music or as a baby crying, that's sanya at work. Then there's sankhara, often the trickiest one to grasp. It's your mental formations, habits, intentions, reactions. Think of it like your mental conditioning. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you instantly react with anger, that's sankhara. But so is your compassion, your patience, your dreams. Finally, there's vijnana, consciousness. It's the awareness that holds it all together. It's the knowing, the thing that experiences and recognizes each moment. Now here's the powerful part. None of these 5 are fixed. They change all the time. And that's the key insight. You are not just your body. You are not just your thoughts or emotions. You are a flowing, living process. So next time you feel overwhelmed or stuck in an old pattern, remember, what you're feeling is just one part of a bigger picture. You're more spacious, more dynamic, more alive than you think. And maybe, just maybe, that's the first step to real freedom. Have you ever wondered what your mind truly is? Not just what you think, but what you really are on the inside. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a word that captures this beautifully: citta. And no, it's not just another word for consciousness. Citta is something deeper. It refers to the entire stream of mental life, your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and awareness, all moving together like a flowing river. Think about it. We often break the mind into categories: my feelings, my thoughts, my decisions. But citta reminds us that none of these happen in isolation. They arise and interact simultaneously. They are the mind together. It's like watching a sunset. There's the light, the color, the emotion it brings, the memories it stirs, even the thought that says, "Wow, this is beautiful." All of that together is your citta in motion. Citta also includes the 5 aggregates, or khandhas, that Buddhism often speaks of: your body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. But it doesn't stop there. Citta is what connects them, what flows through them. It's not a machine with separate parts. It's the symphony playing all the instruments at once. And here's where it gets powerful. When we begin to observe our citta, just gently notice it. We're no longer swept away by every emotion or reaction. We begin to see how things arise and how they pass. Have you ever caught yourself mid-thought and realized, wait, I don't have to follow this anger or this worry? That's citta awareness starting to grow. So what if your mind isn't a problem to fix, but a process to understand? What if instead of quieting the mind, you simply learn to watch it? Like watching clouds pass across a wide sky. That's the heart of the practice. Not to escape the mind, but to know it. To live from a place of clarity, where awareness itself becomes a source of peace. And that's what citta invites us to discover. Have you ever tried so hard to meditate or focus that you ended up even more frustrated? There's a story from the time of the Buddha that perfectly captures this struggle. It's about a monk named Sona. He was deeply devoted, determined to succeed in his meditation. But he pushed himself too hard, sitting for hours, trying to force his mind to stay still. Instead of finding peace, he became exhausted and discouraged. So he went to the Buddha and shared his struggle. And the Buddha didn't give him more techniques or tell him to try harder. Instead, he asked a simple question. "Sona, you used to play the lute, right?" Sona nodded. "Yes, Lord." "And what happened?" the Buddha asked. "When the strings were too tight," Sona replied, "they snapped. And when the strings were too loose, they made no sound." The Buddha smiled and said, "So it is with your mind. When it's too tight with effort, it breaks. When it's too loose with laziness, it doesn't work. The key is balance, a gentle, steady tuning." Isn't that beautiful? This story isn't just about meditation, it's about life. We often swing between extremes, overworking ourselves to burnout or falling into procrastination and guilt. But the wisdom here is timeless. Your mind, like a musical instrument, needs just the right tension to play its melody. So next time you feel overwhelmed by self-discipline or frustrated by your lack of focus, ask yourself, are you pulling your strings too tight or too loose? True growth doesn't come from force. It comes from harmony. And maybe, just maybe, the sound you're looking for will emerge when you finally tune yourself with kindness and balance. When we enter deep sleep, it may feel like our mind simply vanishes. But in Buddhist understanding, that's not the case. There's a concept called citta, often translated as the heart-mind, which represents the continuous stream of awareness. Even when surface consciousness fades, citta remains quietly present. Like a computer in sleep mode, screen off, fans silent, but the system still humming beneath. This is profound rest, not disappearance but stillness with presence. It shows us something powerful. The mind can be quiet and still be alive. What are the concepts? If you look, this ignites or they're all count us. So what does this mean for our waking life? That we don't have to wait for sleep to access peace. Through meditation and daily mindfulness, whether it's washing dishes or sipping tea, we can tap into that same inner stillness. When you pause, breathe, and let go of noise, you awaken that background mind, free from worry, free from judgment, just present. That's the real gift of spiritual practice, learning how to rest without leaving the world behind. You know that moment when the world gets quiet, the lights dim, your body relaxes, and suddenly, without even trying, your mind begins to drift. And then a dream begins, a flicker, a scene, a strange story unfolds, sometimes familiar, sometimes totally bizarre. But have you ever wondered, where do these dreams come from? Are they just random noise? Or do they carry something deeper? From a Buddhist perspective, dreams aren't meaningless illusions. They are not accidents. They are reflections of you, of your mind, your emotions, your unspoken thoughts. In fact, Buddhism teaches that the mind is the forerunner of all things. What we think, feel, desire, fear, it all shapes the reality we experience. Not just in waking life, but in our dreams too. Imagine your waking life as a movie projected onto a screen. What you see in dreams, that's what's going on inside the projector. The gears, the reels, the messy, beautiful, chaotic mechanics of the mind. Sometimes it's clear and poetic, other times it's pure confusion, and that's okay. Dreams may come from past experiences, unresolved feelings, even the sensations in your sleeping body. They're not there to predict your future, but they can teach you something powerful about your present. Take this ancient story from the Buddhist Jataka tales. King Pasenadi once had 16 troubling dreams. He was afraid they meant disaster, but when he turned to the Buddha, he was told, "Your dreams reflect your anxiety, not fate." That's the point. Dreams are mirrors, not prophecies. And modern neuroscience, it agrees. Dreams happen mostly in REM sleep when the brain's emotional center is highly active and logic takes a back seat. That's why dreams feel intense, strange, and yet oddly meaningful. They help us process emotions, store memories, and declutter the mind. So next time you wake up from a dream, don't brush it off. Ask yourself, what did it feel like? What was your mind trying to tell you? You don't need to analyze every symbol. Just be curious, be present. Because in paying attention to our dreams, we might just discover a deeper connection to ourselves, even while we sleep. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt so real it stayed with you all day? Maybe it was beautiful, maybe it was strange, or maybe it just didn't make any sense at all. But what if I told you that dream wasn't random, that it was actually showing you something deeply personal? In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches, the mind is the forerunner of all things. In other words, everything we experience, every joy, every struggle, every dream, begins in the mind. Dreams, from a Buddhist perspective, are not just nighttime stories or empty illusions. They're reflections. Of what exactly? Of your thoughts, your emotions, your unspoken worries, even your subconscious memories, and the little things you encountered during the day. A glance, a sound, a feeling that lingered but never got attention. Think of it like this. If your waking life is a movie playing on a screen, then your dreams are a peek behind the scenes, into the projector itself. You're seeing how your mind works when no one else is watching. It's messy, yes, sometimes illogical, but deeply revealing. Maybe that's why some dreams feel like messages. Not from the universe, but from you, from the version of you that's too quiet during the day. That's why Buddhism invites us not to dismiss our dreams, but to meet them with gentle curiosity. So next time you wake up and remember a dream, even just a fragment, pause. What might your mind be trying to say? You don't need to solve it like a puzzle. Just notice it, reflect, and maybe you'll learn something powerful about yourself you hadn't seen before. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt so real you couldn't shake it for hours? Maybe it was strange, maybe it was emotional, or maybe it felt like it came out of nowhere. But according to Buddhism, dreams are never just random. In fact, Buddhist teachings suggest that dreams arise from within us, deeply rooted in our past experiences, unprocessed emotions, lingering stress, and even physical sensations from the body. Think about it. Every moment of your day leaves a trace. Maybe it's an unresolved argument, an old memory that stirs something inside, or just that aching tension in your shoulders. When night falls and your conscious mind rests, those traces don't disappear. They show up again, this time through dreams. It's like your subconscious is trying to have a conversation you didn't have time for during the day. But instead of words, it speaks in images, symbols, and feelings. From a Buddhist view, this is natural. The mind isn't trying to confuse us. It's revealing what's been hidden beneath the surface. And the more mindful we become in daily life, the more clearly we can see those messages, even in dreams. So next time a dream feels heavy or curious or vivid, pause. Ask yourself, what might my mind be showing me? Because sometimes the answers we seek while awake are quietly whispered in our sleep. Have you ever had a dream so strange, it left you wondering if it was some kind of sign? Well, you're not alone. Over 2,000 years ago, King Pasenadi of ancient India experienced the same thing. One night, he had 16 disturbing dreams, vivid, unsettling, and so intense that he feared they predicted disaster for his kingdom. Worried and confused, the king turned to the Buddha for guidance. But instead of interpreting these dreams as prophecies, the Buddha offered something much deeper. He said, "These dreams do not foretell the future. They reflect you, your state of mind, your anxieties, your fears, your attachments." That moment flipped everything on its head. The dreams weren't messages from the gods or warnings from beyond. They were mirrors, quietly reflecting what was already happening inside the king's heart. And isn't that how many of our own dreams work too? From a Buddhist perspective, dreams aren't fortune-telling tools. They don't predict what will happen, but they do reveal what is happening within us. When we pay attention, they become a window into our emotions, beliefs, and unresolved thoughts. So next time you wake up from a strange dream, don't rush to Google its meaning. Instead, turn inward. What might it be saying about what you're carrying? Because sometimes the biggest answers don't come from the outside, but from our own quiet inner world. Have you ever woken up from a dream that made absolutely no sense, but somehow still felt incredibly real? There's actually a good reason for that. Most of our dreaming happens during REM sleep. That's short for rapid eye movement. It's a stage where your brain activity shoots up, almost like you're awake. But here's the twist. During REM, the emotional center of your brain, the amygdala, is highly active, while the logical part, the prefrontal cortex, takes a back seat. That's why dreams can feel so intense, so strange, and sometimes totally illogical. You might be flying through the sky one minute and having lunch with someone who passed away years ago the next. Your brain is firing on all cylinders emotionally, but it's not filtering those images through rational thought. But dreams aren't just random nonsense. Science shows us they actually serve a purpose. During REM sleep, your mind is doing deep work. It's sorting through your emotions, organizing memories, and even taking out the mental trash from your day. Like a cleanup crew that works the night shift, your brain is silently restoring emotional balance and making space for tomorrow's challenges. From a Buddhist lens, this makes perfect sense too. Dreams reflect the activity of the mind, what we felt, avoided, or suppressed. They're not oracles, but they are messengers, showing us what's really going on inside. So the next time a dream leaves you puzzled, try asking, what part of me needed to be heard? Have you ever woken up from a dream and thought, what on earth was that about? A flying fish? A childhood friend? A feeling you couldn't quite name? It's tempting to brush it off as nonsense, but both Buddhism and modern science agree, dreams are not random. They are meaningful, just not always in the way we think. Now, that doesn't mean you need to become an expert dream decoder or obsess over every tiny detail. Instead, the invitation is this. Approach your dreams the way you'd approach a good friend, with gentle curiosity. The Buddha taught that our inner world, our thoughts, emotions, and unconscious patterns shape how we experience reality. And dreams? They're like whispers from that world. They reflect what's stirring beneath the surface. Old wounds, fresh insights, or even unspoken hopes. So here's a simple practice you can try. Next time you wake from a vivid dream, don't rush to forget it. Pause. Ask yourself, what emotion did that dream bring up? What image stood out? And how might that connect to how I'm feeling right now? This isn't just dream analysis, it's mindfulness. It's a way of tuning into the deeper layers of your experience, not to fix or analyze, but simply to listen. And in that listening, something powerful happens. Your awareness deepens. You begin to know yourself a little better. So, what did your last dream try to tell you? Have you ever thought about what really happens in the quietest moments of your sleep? I'm not talking about dreams, that strange theater of symbols and emotion. I mean deep sleep, that silent place where there are no images, no thoughts, no sense of me. It feels like everything shuts down. But here's the fascinating question. Does our mind really disappear in that stillness? Or is something more subtle going on beneath the surface? From both a scientific and Buddhist perspective, deep sleep isn't a void. It's a return to a fundamental state. In Buddhism, this is where awareness rests quietly, without stories or judgment. In neuroscience, it's called slow wave sleep, when the brain repairs itself, clears waste, and rejuvenates both body and mind. So maybe that silence isn't just rest, it's healing. A reminder that behind all our thoughts, roles, and worries, there's a deeper peace always waiting to be touched. And sometimes the most powerful presence is the one that feels like nothing at all. When we fall into deep sleep, it feels like everything stops. No thoughts, no dreams, no self, just stillness. But from a Buddhist perspective, this isn't a void. It's not the absence of experience, but the very foundation where all experience begins. In the Abhidhamma teachings, there's a fascinating idea called bhavanga citta, often translated as the life continuum or stream of being. Think of it as the quiet current beneath the surface of the mind, a subtle awareness that continues flowing even when your conscious mind is completely still. It's not something we can grasp like a thought or a feeling. It's more like the canvas on which all thoughts and emotions are painted. Without it, nothing would appear at all. Even though early Buddhist texts don't name this concept directly, the spirit of it is clear in the Buddhist teachings. The mind doesn't disappear during deep sleep. It simply rests, and in that rest, a deeper awareness quietly holds everything together. So next time you drift into silence, remember, something essential in you is still very much alive, just quietly watching, quietly being. Let's take a look at deep sleep, not just from a spiritual lens, but through the eyes of science. You've probably heard of REM sleep, the stage where dreams happen. But there's another phase that's just as crucial, if not more. It's called NREM Stage 3, or slow wave sleep. This is where the magic of recovery happens. During this stage, your brain produces slow, high-amplitude delta waves. Think of it like your body entering repair mode. Growth hormone is released, tissues are repaired, and your immune system gets a much-needed boost. It's also when your brain starts taking out the mental trash, clearing away waste that's built up during the day, both physically and emotionally. What's fascinating is that during this stage, the brain becomes far less responsive to external noise. That's why it's so hard to wake someone up in deep sleep. It's almost like the mind is offline, but not completely. Because even in this stillness, there's something quietly active beneath the surface. You can still be awakened. So some layer of awareness remains, subtle, steady, and alive. It's like the lights are off, but the engine is still humming gently underneath. And maybe that's the point. Even in our quietest moments, the body and mind are working in harmony, restoring, healing, preparing us for a new day. Have you ever woken up from a deep, dreamless sleep and felt an incredible sense of peace? That kind of sleep offers more than just rest. It's a doorway to something deeper, a subtle reminder that we are more than our thoughts, more than our emotions. From a spiritual perspective, deep sleep shows us something profound. Even when the surface activity of the mind fades away, a quiet awareness remains. It doesn't shout, it doesn't perform, but it's there, like a still lake beneath the waves of daily life. This foundational awareness is who we truly are, calm, grounded, and steady. And here's the best part. We don't have to wait until bedtime to touch it. Through simple practices like mindfulness and meditation, we can access that inner stillness anytime, even in the middle of a chaotic day. Imagine being able to carry that quiet strength in your conversations, your decisions, your challenges. That's the invitation, to take what we glimpse in deep sleep and bring it into our waking life. To not just rest our bodies, but also to nourish the peace that's always been within us. You know that moment when the deep silence of sleep begins to lift? It's subtle at first, a faint glow behind your eyelids, the sound of birdsong or the hum of distant traffic easing back in. Your body, rested and gently restored, starts to move. Fingers twitch, breath deepens, and then your eyes open. It's not just the start of another morning. It's a quiet invitation, a soft reset, a chance to step back into the world not on autopilot, but with awareness. You see, waking up isn't just a physical process. It's the first doorway into the kind of day we'll live. And that doorway can either be rushed through blindly or walked through mindfully. What if we didn't see waking up as a task, but as a practice? What if, just for 30 seconds, we allowed ourselves to pause, notice the breath, the warmth of the sheets, the aliveness of our body? Each morning is a beginning, a new chance to decide, who will I be today? How will I meet the world? That moment right there in bed could be the most powerful moment of your day, if you give yourself the space to feel it. Waking up isn't just about opening our eyes. It's about opening our awareness. From a Buddhist perspective, the moment we rise is more than just a physical return to action. It's a precious opportunity, a chance to reset the mind with clarity, calm, and presence. The Buddha himself made waking up before dawn a sacred practice. He would begin the day not with urgency, but with stillness, seated in meditation before taking any step into the world. Why? Because those first few moments set the tone. Like raising a sail in the morning breeze, set it with care and your boat will glide smoothly. Set it in haste and you might find yourself drifting aimlessly. The Dhammapada reminds us, wakefulness is the path of life. The heedless are like the dead. Being awake means more than being conscious. It's about being truly present. So tomorrow, when the light finds your eyes, try this. Pause. Before reaching for your phone or rushing into routine, take a breath. Feel your aliveness. Let that moment guide the day. It's not just morning, it's your second birth. What kind of life will you live starting now? Have you ever tried to meditate only to find yourself dozing off within minutes? You're not alone. There's a beautiful story from the Buddha's time. A young monk came to him, frustrated. "Master," he said, "every time I sit down to meditate, I get sleepy. I try so hard, but my eyes close, my body slumps, and I fail." Now, the Buddha didn't scold him. He didn't say, "You're not disciplined enough." Instead, he offered practical, compassionate advice. He said, "Try washing your face with cool water. Walk mindfully in the open air. Let the wind touch your skin. Let your senses connect with the world around you." The Buddha knew that wakefulness isn't just about willpower. It's about alignment. It's something we actively cultivate. Being awake, truly awake, isn't just the opposite of sleep. It's the art of being present, of meeting each moment with a clear mind and an open heart. Just like a fire needs tending to stay alive, our mindfulness needs gentle care to stay lit. So the next time you feel foggy, distracted, or dull, pause. Don't blame yourself, just reconnect. Breathe, move, notice. Wakefulness isn't a gift we wait for. It's a practice we return to, moment by moment. Have you ever wondered why some mornings you wake up feeling crystal clear and others you feel like your brain is stuck in molasses? Well, here's something fascinating. While you sleep, your brain isn't just off, it's busy doing housekeeping. Think of it like a night janitor clearing out all the waste your brain produced during the day. This includes toxins, stress byproducts, and leftover neural noise. Without this nightly cleaning process, your mental clarity starts to fog. But there's more. Your body also prepares you for the next day using a clever internal system. Enter cortisol. Often misunderstood as just the stress hormone, cortisol actually plays a crucial role in waking us up. In the early morning, your cortisol levels rise naturally in what scientists call the cortisol awakening response. It's like your body's internal alarm clock, gently nudging you toward alertness if you let it. But here's the thing. If you wake up abruptly with a jarring alarm or panic, you can actually interrupt this elegant process, leaving you feeling groggy and out of sync. So tomorrow morning, maybe try waking up with a little more kindness. Let the light in slowly, breathe, let your body complete its transition from rest to readiness. Because your brain and your whole self is built for renewal. You just have to give it the space to do what it knows best. What if the first 5 minutes of your day could shape everything that follows? Instead of jolting out of bed and rushing into the chaos of to-do lists and notifications, imagine waking up gently, with presence. Before your feet even touch the floor, take a breath. Feel your body. Notice the quiet hum of the morning, the distant birdsong, the rhythm of your breath, the warmth of the blanket. This is your first opportunity to practice mindfulness, right here, between sleep and wakefulness. Set a simple intention. Today, I choose kindness, or I will face challenges with patience. It doesn't have to be profound. It just has to be yours. Science shows that how we begin our day can set the emotional tone for hours. And from a mindfulness perspective, this moment, this simple pause, is powerful. It trains your mind to return to calm, to awareness, even amid stress. So tomorrow, instead of rushing, try slowing down, just a little. Let your first breath of the day be a reminder. You're alive, you're aware, and you get to begin again. That's not just a habit, it's a sacred ritual of awakening. If this message of peace and mindfulness has touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Please support this journey by hitting the like button, sharing this video with someone who needs calm and wisdom today, and subscribing to our channel for more teachings of compassion and enlightenment. Together, let's spread the light of the Dharma to every corner of the world. Thank you for walking this path with us.